Mm. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Hello, Francine and Yarek. So, and Fumi, hello. Let's start with 10-15 minutes of some sharing slash questions slash any discussion about this week of practice, of practicing samadhi, anything you discovered, anything you found challenging, anything you want to check in with me or others about your experience. The more precise you can be with what actually happened without abstracting or generalizing too much, the more and the more close we stay to our experience of what happened, usually the more focused is the discussion, and also the more helpful pointers I can give you if that's necessary. So let's take 10-15 minutes for this. Whoever would like to start.
So in the the 10-day course last year, I think we did walking as part of the samadhi meditation. And
Yeah,
I'm just curious why this time the focus seemed to be more on the sitting and the breathing.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you could also do the walking practice as a samadhi practice, for sure, if you want. So, um, yeah, the form is kind of up to you, whether it's walking, sitting, or standing for the course. Like I give you a lot more freedom during this course. I'll just explain more about how it works. Um, Simply put, because I don't this during this time, I don't want to focus too much on form, but really about understanding more deeply what goes on behind it, so that you can apply it in any form that you feel comfortable or you wish to do it, and to move away from somehow, traditional forms and more to finding your own way of relating to these principles. That's why. But yeah, it's a good question. Meda, you're unmuted, but somehow I can't hear you. Your mouth moving. Um, yeah, can't hear you. Maybe we'll give you a moment. Can't hear you. Maybe we'll give you a moment to fix that. Jennifer, you also unmuted.
Yeah, just one particular thing that was very specific and stood out for me during a meditation this week was after work, and my husband was making dinner, and I was upstairs meditating, and there was a moment where there was like a crash, not anything big, but just a noise of cooking dinner, and it was um, there was something about the I don't know what if it was just like being centered or practicing samadhi, but it was like almost instantaneously felt in my hands and fingers like a little sparkle vibration, sort of the energy of having heard that crash. And it felt like it just went through my body and consciousness without me even really, like it went so fast that I didn't have time to think about it. I only felt the experience of it having happened. I don't, it, and I'm not saying that was a like part of what we're quote supposed to be doing, or I don't know what I'm saying about that. It was just a really fascinating experience, and I don't know if I hadn't have been sitting in meditation, I don't know if I would have been sensitive enough to pick up something that was both so profound and noticeable, but really subtle at the same time. It was just, and it made me think about like afterwards when I was thinking about it a little bit, just how much is going on in our minds and bodies so instantaneously that we have so little control over, and how much time we spend thinking that we have so much control over things. Um, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, your samadhi was so good on the body that you could maintain it even with this sound and the disturbance, where maybe habitually the thought jumps to, oh, what's happening over there or something. When you continued there with the body and you could notice then what happens there. Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that, Jennifer. What else is there? Margaret, unmuted.
Yeah, I think that in our group last week or this week, I guess, we talked about the difference between a guided meditation and just doing the meditation on your own, and how we felt that it was different. So I've really been thinking a lot about that, because not having more guided meditations, I'm feeling a little bit lost. And but when I was reflecting on it, I thought, when I'm doing my own meditation, when I really find that place within me, oftentimes it it's because I have a connection with myself, and when I'm off, then I want you to be my connection, I guess, you know. So it was just interesting because I've just been thinking a lot about it, because I'm doing a lot of things that are that are putting me on my own edge. And so I just want to be mellow and meditate over here, and not push my edge, which is exactly what doing it on my own. I'm kind of there anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that difference. I noticed that difference of, like, because there's been where we've had a lot more, half an hour sitting, half an hour standing, and listening to and I know all of that, but I'm struggling a little bit with grasping it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, great. Great, great, great. Yeah, it's a very intentional
We're not doing
move.
the guidance.
Ryan,
Sorry.
sorry, I was just saying something, but please go ahead.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, I was just saying that I think with the guided meditations, a lot of times those can kind of like activate more like the intellectual, like analytical part of my brain, because I'm like thinking about what you're saying. So that actually detracts a little bit from the actual like meditation process itself. Um, so yeah, I kind of am liking the unguideds a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because of that. But,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Some like it, some don't. Uh-huh. Taking off the training wheels.
well, the
I
guided
I
is
really
just like
hope.
Francine, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry I interrupted Ryan. Were you? That's okay.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I really resonate with that because I always felt like when I was without guidance, it always felt a little scary, actually. I didn't know where it was going to go, and like that. And I started cultivating friendliness You know, like meeting someone, when someone comes to your home, you want to open your home with friendliness and not fear, not thinking that something bad is going to happen. So I've been cultivating friendliness and meeting whatever comes up with that attitude.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful. Thank you. What else is floating out there, Krista?
Just to offer a counterpoint, I feel like I have the opposite experience, that when I'm on my own, I'm more, I guess, Ryan, you said kind of intellectualizing it. I think there's the me who's meditating, and then there's the me who's like guiding the meditation and making sure I'm sort of staying on track and it's quiet, but like thinking about what I'm doing. And I feel like I stay much more kind of in my body, like very here, which I know is a good thing, but when I'm doing a guided meditation with you, even if it's very lightly guided, I feel much more expansiveness. And I feel like I get far beyond my body and feel kind of connected to everything. Like the awareness is much wider. Maybe because I feel safer that way. So it's just interesting how we all, it's just different for everybody.
Yeah, great. Meda, do you want to try again with the talking? Now you have different headphones.
Yes, I took out my headphones. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you now.
Okay.
Very well.
For the past 2 days, I've been trying the noting technique that was in one of your videos for this week. I don't recall talking about it in class last week, so I have this innate feeling that I'm not supposed to be doing this quite yet in our 8-week course. But I think it's been really hard to trust that these new techniques that we're learning will eventually lead me, like you were saying, to a practice that is most authentic to ourselves. And I don't think I used my own training wheels before this practice for quite long. Frankly, I didn't independently guide my practice for too long until I came to this course. So also just independently guiding my practice is a new thing for me itself. I think it's just been I'm okay with the variation in every practice and what I assess to be scattered or unified energy at the end of it. But I have a hard time knowing if what I'm doing is going to take me to my intention, and I have a hard time sticking to the same intention, if that makes sense.
What was your intention again?
I think my intention was to have a more structured practice and like a very general intention. I think that's what I shared last class when we all told our intentions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any input?
Yeah, I guess with the approach so far, it's been very open. And so maybe you feel like you have even less structure. Also because there are a lot of ideas floating around about how to practice, whether it's noting or breath or however you want to do it. Yeah, we will. It's been the first week of the course, and now we're gonna get into Vipassana. So structure will build as you start to understand what's going on more. Your own structure, and I like how you said that of finding your own authentic practice and relationship to the practice. I think that's really important part. Yeah, there's more the traditional approach of like, okay, here's the technique and here's the position you have to sit in and here's the time you have to do it in. Go ahead and do it. So the form is quite strict, which works for some people. For me, it works for a bit. But yeah, what I find most exciting and motivating is to make it my own, and I encourage you also to do that. Yeah,
That sounds good.
great.
Thank
Awesome. Let's get into this week. We took some minutes for that. Yeah, samadhi, and maybe just to close the samadhi topic. Samadhi is like a huge topic. Like I've been writing a blog post about it, and I realized like, okay, we could spend like years just with this one thing and all the different ways to cultivate samadhi and all the different factors that feed into it and life conditions and whatnot. So like, don't worry if you haven't mastered it in 1 week. I also haven't mastered it yet. Like, keep discovering more about it, and it continues to be cultivated through also these 8 weeks through the Vipassana practice. Yeah, I just wanted you to somehow contemplate on this sense of unification that you might feel more or less at times. Actually, something interesting I discovered this week is how much smiling influences the state of unification for me. Like, not only during meditation, but really during life. I'm practicing a lot this week to smile in the morning when I wake up in myself in the mirror, and somehow that really shifts something in my practice. And then that's something I didn't try so actively before, especially during the day. And so yeah, we're all discovering new things. That's what I want to say. Okay, so closing samadhi. Now I will talk for about 30 minutes, so you can kind of prepare yourself to receive information. But really also to listen to this in a way to not let it get too abstract and imaginative, but really to reflect also on your meditation experiences, but even on your direct experience, what you're experiencing right now as I talk through this topic. So now we're going to leave get the popcorn, get comfy. We're going to leave now the realm of pure attention practice, so samadhi practice, meditation, which is for cultivating samadhi, remembering, which is kind of stability, unification of mind, and move more into the realm of vipassana practice. So vipassana means to see clearly, or to develop insight, or to see through, or to see experience as it is, right? Okay, that sounds great. And we're just going to focus now on Vipassana on the body for this week, and we're going to step through other foundations of mindfulness through the next 3 weeks. So this week is going to be the body. It's all about the body and how we experience the body. Next week is about feeling tone and affect. And also we'll talk a bit about emotions. And then the week after that will be about mind. And then after we'll go more into anytime, anywhere, applying to all phenomena. We start with the body, and the Satipatthana Sutta also starts with the body because simply it is really the most tangible aspect of our experience, the most easy place to start to feel the difference between what is seeing the body clearly and what is not seeing the body clearly, what is just habitually perceiving the body. So samadhi practice is very much about stabilization. And the one word I would use to describe Vipassana practice is deconstruction. So deconstruction, the word deconstruction, you could also use disentanglement. We are looking at and taking apart components of our experience. So Vipassana is about deconstruction. And this is not any kind of deconstruction. This is a deconstruction of sensory experience, our moment by moment a reality and deconstructing that. And we're not doing that analytically so much. So you could, for example, deconstruct more conceptually. What's a tree? What is a tree made out of? What are the materials that go into the tree? What molecules are there? So that's more thinking about the tree and deconstructing the tree through thought, through analysis. But now when we are going to deconstruct a tree, we're going to really look at how do I experience the tree, and deconstructing our experience of the tree, our thoughts about it, and what we see, and deconstructing, for example, the way we see and experience that at a direct level. Why do we want to do that? So the Buddha, his great discovery was, hey, we don't overcome suffering, we don't overcome our restlessness, our dis-ease, our lack of fulfillment, our feeling of always running in circles and trying to find happiness by suppressing experience or by creating a lot of samadhi, which is what he was trying to do first, by going very deep into concentration states. He always found he would come out of those concentration states, and again there would be turbulence and restlessness. So he was trying to find a different way to do this, and that's when he discovered more Vipassana style practice. We don't know exactly what he was practicing, but this is what the general consensus is. He discovered Vipassana in this way, and he did this by deconstructing his experience. So the point of deconstruction is to find out and investigate how our restlessness or dissatisfaction or the friction that we feel when things we want disappear, or when things that we don't want are here, or the suffering that comes from just life in general, right? Life has an aspect of always coming back to some kind of friction. So taking a step back, this is a modern understanding of how we understand that the brain makes our experience. So previously it was thought like, there's a reality out here, and then there's sensory data coming in, and our brain pieces together that sensory data to make a world out of all of these streams of information from all the senses, right? Plus the memory, plus our experiences. But now what the main theory is that it's not like a passive process of sensory data coming in and the brain making sense out of it. It's actually an active process. So the brain actively predicts what things are going to be like, and then checks. Is it really like that? Okay, great. It's like that. Or, it's not quite like that. Or either I have to change something to make it like that, or I have to update the way I understand, the way I model, the way I guess about what's happening. So this is really something that's learned. It's genetic, but also learned. So for example, my son, he had to learn that I exist as something beyond beyond something he can directly experience. So for example, previously when I would hide behind like a door or something, he would see me, I would hide behind something, and he would forget that I exist. He would look somewhere else. But now he looks, and then I hide behind something, and he expects that I'm going to be there. He knows that even though I've disappeared from his vision, I exist. So his brain has learned that I exist. And then surely enough, I come back and he's delighted that I still exist. So the brain is constantly doing this. The brain is constantly predicting about what is reality and how is reality constructed in order to basically survive, in order to say, okay, this is a tree, this is this feeling now, this is hunger, that means I should eat. Okay, there's some rustling in the bushes there, maybe that's a tiger. Let's be careful here. So we're in this constant making predictions, making guesses about what's really happening in our experience. And the problem is that these predictions or these guesses are or tend to be skewed towards the negative, right? So this is the negativity bias that we all maybe have heard of. So because we are more geared for survival than for happiness, our brains usually over-predict scenarios that are driven by fear. How can I avoid this? How can I not have this situation, right? All the worry, all the rumination. They also can tend to be overprotective of ourselves, our identity, what we need to do. They can tend towards being overly rigid, right? We love stability, and when things are different, when things don't match what we expect, it usually creates tension and fear in us. So, for example, I'm used to the way things work here in Germany, and then I go to India and things are noisy, messy, the traffic is super wild, and there's just fear because my brain, which is used to predicting a certain kind of order in the traffic and knows how to navigate that, is just overwhelmed, there's disorder, and that's usually accompanied by a lot of sense of a strong sense of emotion. Can be pleasant, can be unpleasant. Yeah, these predictions are also very much usually unconscious. So it's just a way that our brain keeps modeling what's happening. An example is you sit down to meditate and my brain is much more scattered than I thought it would be. And that feels like a problem. That feels like, oh shit, I'm very distracted. And the other thing is that we mistake our predictions for reality. So we mistake that what my mind thinks about stuff is what it actually is. But of course, it's just a construction. It's the way our mind simulates what's happening. So for instance, we sit down and we sit down to meditate and we start thinking about tomorrow or the day after, and start planning like all the different scenarios and things that could be, and also fear that might arise, or joy, or any emotions really, and we mistake those visions, those constructions for the actual thing, which of course is not the case. The future has not arrived. Yes, so in summary, the brain tries to predict our reality, and it's usually more skewed towards the negative or fearful or bad scenarios, because that's how it's evolved for our survival. So how does this apply to the body? So our body is this, our mind literally evolved for our body, right? Our mind evolved to keep our bodies alive, to keep a certain temperature, to keep enough food coming, to keep enough water coming, to keep the connection, keep the community, for the survival of the body, which houses the gene, right? Our gene, which has now through many iterations survived from the primordial soup that we're in. This gene has evolved to create this body, which has tools, which has legs, which can transport, right? Very different than a plant, or which has evolved this crazy mind, which can simulate all these realities and choices and make things extremely complex. for the survival of this body, for the survival of this gene. And there are, the way we operate mostly is with guesses about how is the body. So for example, now if you check in, how is my body now, you probably have some kind of labels about your body. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but who would like to volunteer and maybe just tell us a little bit about your body? Whoever.
Sure.
How's your body?
I'll
Yeah.
do it.
Okay, Francine, you are an experienced meditator, so I'm not sure if this is going to work. You're probably already going to have deconstructed it into its feeling. But tell me, please.
Oh. So I thought you were going to ask me questions. What do you
Okay,
want to?
I can.
What do you want me to offer?
Okay. Maybe. I didn't plan what questions to ask, but
That's okay. I can. Do you want me to just say what's going on in my body right now?
yeah, tell us what's going on in your body.
Okay. I feel tightness in my chest. There's a slight tremor near the inside of my skin. My breath seems to be flowing a little bit more laboriously at my throat. There's kind of a pushing down action to the breath, to the belly. I'm aware of sensations in my hands, like tingling.
Okay, yeah, that was great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so that's already quite a good phenomenological description of your body. So Francine was describing different sensations and feelings that she's experiencing right now in her body, right? And we could hear that she has quite a lot of body awareness, like you were really describing, detail and qualities within what the body actually felt like, right? So this is already having some experience and depth into a Vipassana way of experiencing the body, which is deconstructing the body from what we just think about it to what is the actual felt experience of the body, right? So something which might have been more not as deconstructed yet, maybe if Francine didn't have any meditation experience, it could have been something like, okay, right now my body feels anxious, or I am anxious, or I'm worried. Now, Francine, this is nothing about you. I'm just making up stuff, right? Or I'm worried about my knee because it hurts a bit. Or I'm worried about what I ate for lunch. I feel some pressing here in my stomach. or I have some tension in my shoulders. I was working too much on the computer, right? And beneath that we have more the phenomena, the experience of her actual body. What's the sensory experience, which Francine was describing. So the mind, if it's untrained, usually will have some kind of expectations or guesses about what the body is like or how it should be. So, oh, I'm feeling this tightness in the chest. It shouldn't be there. It should feel more open or connected, or I should feel more at ease in the body. Or, oh, the breath is a bit more tight. It should be more smooth. It's better to have a smooth breath. And so these would be examples of somehow these guesses arising and which are different from what the actual thing is. And in Vipassana meditation, we want to deconstruct the body into its actual experience, what's happening moment by moment, what's happening in the different parts of the body, what's happening qualitatively. And in this way, we are developing our faculty of seeing the body or sensing the body directly. And the body is kind of like a cake. So at the top level of the cake and the icing of the cake, that's what's on the surface is, yeah, I have a body, and there are conceptual labels about what the body is. And the layer beneath that, we have more the phenomenological experience of the body. There's this feeling, there's this feeling, there's this quality, that quality. Over here is this, underneath my skin is this, my chest is this. And deeper than that, there's a flow or vibration of experience. Yes. Deconstructing the bodily experience. Okay. I'm going to pause here because I realize that this is maybe like a complex topic, and it's also the first time I'm trying to explain it in this particular way. And I'm going to check in with you guys about how you are receiving this, whether I'm making sense, and what's arriving for you. Yes, like that. Which will help me understand what I still need to maybe highlight or explain clearer, or the link that's missing.
I think, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear.
I think what you're saying makes sense. When I was thinking about what I thought about my body while Francine was answering, I think I don't rely as much on the feed forward mechanisms that my brain uses to predict things, but more so feeling like sensations based off of thoughts and analysis rather than conceptually thinking about how my body is. And I'm interested to see how I can lean into the conceptual framework, if that makes sense.
Can you say the last sentence again? You lean more into
The conceptual
analysis?
framework. Right now I feel like I'm a very thought-oriented and analysis-oriented person when I think about how my body is feeling.
Yeah. Would you mind sharing a little bit about how you're
I think
experiencing your body?
I think right off the bat, the first thing that I wanted to say is that I have limited mobility in my thoracic spine. And I think that's just an example of how analytical I am, just because I do mobility exercises and I know that's an area I need to work on. But I feel like when Francine was sharing how Francine felt in their body, I feel like there was a lot more of a deeper layer of the cake, kind of using the analogy that you were saying. Because right now, just off the bat, without closing
Yeah,
my
what
eyes
else?
or focusing on my breath, I
What
just
else?
feel tightness in my shoulders, and it's because I did some
Mm-hmm.
push-ups yesterday. That's
Mm-hmm.
really it. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
where I'm
More?
at.
Do you have other ones? So there's you feel decreased mobility in your thoracic spine, you feel tightness in your shoulders because you did some push-ups yesterday. Anything
I
else?
feel like my lower body is not as not as flow as it usually is because I got surgery a month ago and I can't do some stretches according to my doctor.
Right, right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mida.
no problem. I hope that's
Um,
helpful.
yeah. So, and I don't mean to make like now your example is like a bad example or something. This is more just illustrating, the different layers of the cake here, the different ways of experiencing our body and the implication for um, well-being, essentially. So I was hearing, and maybe you were exaggerating now maybe for helping me in my explanation, but when you were talking about the body, I was hearing a lot of ideas about the body and reasons for them, and there was always some kind of implicit comparison in it's like this, but it could be like this or should be, or yesterday was like, right? So there was this more conceptual wrapping up of maybe some feeling that you really do feel, right? So this is a more higher level of more leaning towards predictions for the thing. When we're hearing Francine discuss her body, there was more attention to the direct experience
Yeah.
as it is, right? Which can still include a lot of comparison stuff, but yeah, this is the first aspect. Lanya, you're raising your hand. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so when you said so when Francine gives those examples, I went through my own body and I was like, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? And I discovered that the way that I would describe what I was feeling was in emotional terms. So it was not quite all the way down to the sensation level. And when I tried to describe it at the sensation level, I found that I didn't have the right adjectives. Like I lacked the
Right.
words and I didn't know what words to put around it. And I feel like that's really relevant to what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. One thing, of course, the language around it. And the other thing is, can we actually experience it? Yeah. We're trained in that way to feel the body. Okay. For me, maybe last, then I have more.
Yeah.
Why did I see it?
So I wanted to share something, but also I had a little question. Which one should I do first?
Yes.
In the beginning, you started to say that at one point Buddha was thinking that there are ways that we tune out of our experience, for example, emotions and things like that. So, and then you said even samadhi, right? Did you say that or did I mishear it?
Even samadhi? What do you mean?
I think you were saying that he created Vipassana because there are ways in which people tune out of their experience or try to get away from their experience. And somehow, sometimes even people use samadhi. Or maybe I misheard it.
I don't think I said like that, but that certainly, can be one conclusion you can draw. Which is also actually what the Buddha did for many years when he went more to samadhi states to, in a way,
to kind of escape the experience or escape the pain.
Yes, that's one way you can use samadhi, which maybe isn't beneficial. But when you come back to your ordinary experience, let's say, again, there's the pain or the discomfort. So his inquiry, the Buddha's inquiry, was about how does this pain and discomfort arise? How does it arise? And what he was discovering was that it is because of this. Of course, he didn't use this word of predictions. He used the word delusions, actually.
Right.
It is because of ignorance of what I'm actually experiencing, and because of delusion, because of the prediction of how I think it should be and what it's actually like. So these are the layers of the cake, right? So from here's how it is, and it actually should be like this because of this and this reason, and blah blah blah, wrapped a lot up to, okay, here's how it is actually being experienced moment by moment, tak tak tak. Without those guesses of how it should be, being very far from how it is. So the further away than how it is, the more usually suffering there will be, the more. It's just a complicated way of saying if things are not the way we want them to be, we have discomfort.
Right. Okay. So,
yes.
Right. And then about your explanation on the body sensations, I guess, yeah, for me, it's always quite interesting because I do a lot of like somatic healing, for example, work and like trauma work, but then I'm always interested in this sort of mindfulness, meditation, noticing. And then when we hear something like in the neuroscience, I feel like it all connects. So it's quite fascinating for me that like ancient knowledge, like, Buddha, or in India or in Asia, this knowledge all connects to what they're finding in neuroscience, but they didn't have those terms. But actually what we're experiencing, like what you're saying about illusion, for example, and how the mind, learns are trained to see things in a certain way because of our own condition that we came to go up there. It's
Yes.
always so fascinating for me that this connection exists. And for me, I used to have chronic pain, and it was all linked to trauma, but a lot of therapists didn't say this. So it was like physical therapy, and nothing really resolved. And when I started to make connection, it was like pain for years that I couldn't resolve, and it got resolved in a month. And so it's quite interesting how we can read something in the body, and it can even to some extent create pain in the body when there's something unresolved, maybe in the soul or in our emotions or in our nervous system.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you for mentioning this thing about pain. Yeah, I think that I'm going to wrap the things here together into the narrative. That makes sense. So yeah, one implication is for pain. So pain. So you were describing how you were having some chronic pain in the body, and then you were trying for many years to work with it physically. More mobility exercise, more freeing up, or whatever. And then when you worked more psychosomatically through somatic techniques, or also mindfulness, that's what greatly alleviated the pain, right? Because pain is often not something just physical, but is really psychosomatic. It's a mind-body phenomenon. And the Buddha also found this with suffering. So there's actually a nice example, which I said before in one of the Sunday calls. I think some of you might know it, but it was an example of a construction worker who had jumped on a nail, and the nail was in his boot, like stuck through his boot, and he was brought to hospital, and he had this very long 15-centimeter nail poking through his boot, and he was in a lot of pain. He was screaming like, so much pain, what means so much pain? So they sedated him, and then they removed the boot, cut it open, everything, and then they saw that the nail was between the toes. So it had not pierced structurally at all the body. Yet this worker, he was experiencing so much pain. So why is that? And the way they explain this is through this predictive framework. So the brain expects pain there because I jumped on the thing. There's a huge nail through my thing. Maybe I even feel some sensation there of the nail between my toes. So there must be pain there. And so pain as an experience, as a perception, is created. And maybe if that person had been a Vipassana meditator and really inquired and felt the actual sensations that were there, he might have found that, hey, actually, there is no pain here. There is just sensation. And this is our work in Vipassana meditation, for the body foundation, to look more clearly at what the body actually is, so that we drop more and more from knowing things about the body to actually not knowing anything about the body and focusing more on the felt sensory experience of the body, moment by moment. And the one thing I didn't mention yet is that we have this different modes of attending to our experience, right? One is more towards predictions and, yeah, I know about my body. I know that I'm like this today. I know that I'm tense, or I know that my body's uncomfortable. And when we are more skewed towards believing our predictions, believing our ideas, we don't look so closely at the experience, and our brain actually ignores sensory experience. If we go into a slightly different mode of being, which is more deconstructive or sensory focused, for example, through mindfulness practice, somatic practice also, self-inquiry, we give more emphasis on the actual sensory experience, what we experience, and the brain down regulates the importance of predictions or of beliefs or of what is known, and skews more towards the unknown and what is this really. And often we find something different, right? And over time, the predictions become more accurate. So the brain learns and gets retrained that this is not the way I thought it is, and this is the way how it actually. And then there is less surprises, which is why there's a gradual development of equanimity also, because there's more and more direct experience, which why Vipassana is also called seeing clearly. We learn how to see clearly more and more our experience of ourselves, our mind, later on, our emotions, our feelings, but also very much the body. Vipassana is about seeing clearly. Vipassana is about deconstruction. And so the two very important ingredients for Vipassana meditation is firstly sensory clarity, so going more towards what I'm actually experiencing in the sensation, and equanimity. Because what equanimity does is it helps us accept that our prediction about it, our guess about it, is different than what we actually find. That difference, that felt difference, which usually is also some kind of craving or aversion. It's like this, but it should be like that. Or it's like this, but I want this. That difference, which is usually craving and aversion. And ignorance, which is kind of not wanting to look clearly at it. And equanimity helps us to reduce that difference and helps our experience to learn what is the actual experience of the body. So in the case of the boot, the actual experience there is just a feeling between my toes. The actual experience there in my chronic pain is just a bunch of tingling sensations or something, and just maybe a little bit of pain, maybe 2% pain, not 100% pain. Okay, interesting. Yeah, sensory clarity, equanimity. And we move down the cake. We move from what we think about it towards what we actually feel. And beneath that, there's more layers, the more vibratory quality of experience and the impermanence. Talk about that later. Yes. Okay. So maybe let's just get a taste here. Put your hand high on your screen if everything makes sense and is clear. Put your hand low on your visible screen if you're utterly confused, or maybe somewhere in the middle. Some of it makes sense, but some of it. Please hold it there so I can see. Okay, high, 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 low, high, quite high, high, medium high. Natalie, what's your hand?
I just came in.
Okay,
I don't have hands.
0
Sorry.
is non-existent.
I'm
Great.
completely confused.
Completely confused. Okay, me too. So yeah. Great. Okay, so mostly it's understandable. And Marcos, I've made some nice diagrams and stuff which I put on the course portal for you which just talk about exactly this, but maybe in a more beautiful way.
Yeah, I understand it. I think I got to experience it more.
Okay, going to the direct experience. Yeah, yeah. So that's ultimately where the learning happens in direct experience. Cool. So I will just quickly. No, let's take a break actually. So I want to explain about the different techniques or the actual how we can practice this, and then we move into the actual practice. But maybe let's take a 5-minute break and digest this whole thing, and come back eight past. Thank you, everyone. For me, maybe you want to say something?
Oh, I just didn't want to mislead everybody because I talked about chronic pain, but the doctor doesn't say it's imagined. It's like with trauma and different things. The brain can just make a heartbeat or create, like body parts and stuff like that. In the same way, it can create inflammation. So it's an actual state that happens in the
Yes.
body, and it is actual state of chronic pain. But
Yes.
it doesn't mean that it has to be permanently be there. But when the doctor started to confirm, oh, you have this because maybe your bone structure is this, and maybe your activity, makes your back hurt, it confirms, and then it becomes more confirmation bias.
More real.
Whereas if we see it as something that can be resolved, and maybe that has some link to trauma, then the body starts to register it as something else, which can be maybe resolved. So, it's not that it's like imagined pain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it was imagined. It's very much, it's so real because the way we perceive reality influences how we experience it, because sensations can be created by the way we perceive, right? So if the doctor is like, it's because you're doing this and this, it reifies, it solidifies the fact that you have pain and this is why, and I believe that story and I feel that pain even stronger then. And so it's always there in the interrelationship between body and mind. It's not just imagined. That's not trying to say that. Thank you for making that clear. So let's come back in 4 or 5 minutes, and then
I
we'll
want to know
we'll
how she
practice.
got out of that loop. I'd like to know more. I don't know if we have time, but
Okay, we'll try to leave some time in the end of the session.
okay, cool.
All right. Okay, see you in 4 minutes.
I feel like I can't hear you. Is everybody hearing?
I can't hear you, Rema.
I was also thinking, am I the one or okay?
Yeah, I was like, oh, nobody's reacting, so it's my computer. Maybe I was trying to check.
No, I think Raima, we can't hear you.
Uh-uh.
No.
I was like trying to see all my setting on my computer because nobody was reacting. I'm like, oh, I'm the only one who can't hear them.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I was like, now I'm back. Yeah, somehow they disconnect. So I was I was just saying, yeah, thank you for bearing with me through that explanation. I definitely feel it can be clearer. But I think we kind of crowdsourced this explanation, and I'm really happy that it also landed for most of you. But it will become clearer also through practice, I believe. So now, so there's many ways to do this in practice, right? And I'm going to share with you 3 main ways. So this is more technique focused, right? So Vipassana is not just one technique, and there's many ways to practice Vipassana. And I would love to, the reason I explain this whole background is because I want you to understand how it works so that then you can practice in the way that works best for you. And now I will share with you 3 different ways of deconstructing the bodily experience into the sensations or into the phenomena that you actually experience in the body. So of course, a prerequisite for doing this is a basic level of samadhi, a basic level of stability of attention. If you are mind wandering for 90% of the session and only 10% of the time you are with your body, it's probably better to practice more samadhi. But if there is a basic level of stability of being able to attend to your body, then you can start to practice deconstruction or vipassana on the body. So if you are with your body, let's say 70% of the time, 60% of the time, in some way or another. But you can, of course, try this. So the 3 main ways to work, the first one is the body scan. So scanning systematically through the body and keep attending to the sensations that are actually happening there with equanimity. I have a slide on this, so maybe I will just show the slide. The first way, yeah. So remember that we're trying to build more sensory clarity with equanimity. And so the first way is through the body scan. You move your attention through the body, tuck, 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 all parts of the body, and you keep attending to what's actually happening there rather than what you think is happening there. So it keeps, there's this attitude of curiosity, there's this attitude of the beginner's mind. Well, I don't actually know what is the chest like, let me really sense. And in that way, we move the mind from predicting, from knowing it, to unknown through to finding out what's really happening there at a sensory level, the body scan. So the advantage of this is that it's quite systematic, so you don't miss any body parts. You continually deepen your whole awareness of sensations in the body. It's quite straightforward to do. It builds also a lot of samadhi because you have to maintain this continuous movement, focus through the body. But it also can also become a bit mechanical after a while if you just mechanically go up and down without actually attending to what's really there. So that's the first way. The second way is to do more. I'm going to jump to the third actually. To go more investigation. So this is when you pick a particular area or you pick a particular sensation or emotion. So it might be an area of pain, might be an emotion that's difficult, might be also something neutral like your hand. And you just really focus in and go close to what you actually experience there. So we're going to try this in a second, but you go into the actual, let's say the hand, you sense what is the boundaries, the inside. Sensations are always three-dimensional. Mental representations are usually two-dimensional. And so we go into that. So, this quality, this tingling, this coldness over here, this pressure over here. Here's more vibratory. Here's more some sharpness. Here's more dullness. Whatever. So you really go into one area deeply, and you keep experiencing it more and more clearly. And the resolution here is really is almost infinite. Like there's so many layers of the cake there. You can go from, yeah, this is my hand, I know my hand, to, okay, here's 5 fingers, they feel different. You can go into so much detail until the hand actually dissolves more and more. That's investigation. So great thing about this is also really you go much more into detail, and this develops a lot of sensory clarity. But it's also, it can become over-efforting because you can kind of go more and more into it. It can become also analytical if you are listing the different qualities or imagining them. And if you're doing it with a painful sensation, it can also become overwhelming, because if you don't have equanimity with what you feel, then you can actually increase the pain or the discomfort that you sense. So this slide will be shared. You have to make like notes of everything. The last one is more open style. So this is requires a little bit more experience also, but it's more where you keep the whole body in the field of awareness, and you just notice whatever arises anywhere. So whatever emergent, you feel something in your chest there, okay. You feel the pressure in your butt, you feel the tingling of your hand, okay, whatever emerges moment by moment, you just notice. Tuck, 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 tuck. And you can use noting also. You can actually use noting for investigation also. And it's much more, it gives also more relevance to whatever your mind thinks is relevant, which is usually what we need to observe. Whatever pops out is whatever we need to observe. That's usually where the most craving or aversion is tied up in. Yeah. So these 3 ways. Let's try them. So we will start with body scan, then we'll go into a particular area, and then we will do more open noting style. So we'll practice for about 20 minutes, and then last 20 minutes will be for questions, comments, discussion. So take a moment. And tune into your breathing. A little bit of samadhi at the beginning of practice. It's always helpful to collect the mind. And let's start with the feet. So let's go both feet at the same time. Feel both of your feet. Remember, we have to kind of pretend we don't know anything about our feet, and really move to this mode of sensing rather than guessing or predicting. feeling mode. Feel the different parts of the feet. And whatever sensation is there. And let's move up to the lower legs. And the knee. And the thighs. And whatever you find, we want to have equanimity with it. Your mind might say, it should be like this or more like that. Yesterday was like this, tomorrow was like this. These are more guesses and predictions arising. Keep attending to what is actually there with equanimity. And these guesses, these thoughts will calm down. Pelvis. Belly and lower back area. Any sensations, pressure, tingling, warmth, cold, hot, contraction, expansion, tightness, pain, discomfort, pleasure, movement, stillness. Not imagining anything or adding anything on top, just tending to what's actually there, what you actually feel. Moving up to the middle, torso, all the way around and inside. And the chest area, upper back and chest. Shoulders. If you cannot feel anything somewhere, just stay there for a while and see what comes. Not feeling parts of the body are usually related to having neglected or ignored those parts, maybe because of pain or other reasons. But now we are reconnecting with all sensations, allowing them, welcoming them with equanimity, with balance, with acceptance. Upper arms. What is this upper arms? What is this? I really don't know it. There are layers and layers of sensations there. Forearms, wrists and hands, neck, head, face, scalp. Great, and let's go to open awareness of the whole body. And just notice what you notice, whatever sensation grabs your attention. Notice that, and then let go again and rest in the whole body awareness. Some sensations are louder than others. Some sensations, some parts of the body more subtle, more quiet. And you keep noticing whatever qualities appear. If you like, you can label them, but you don't need to. What's the actual experience of my body now? The felt experience, not what I think about it. With equanimity. The whole body as a field of sensations. Great, and let's go to one in particular. So maybe let's start with a neutral feeling, neutral but pronounced part of the body. So for me, it's my hand. Feels quite neutral but quite loud in experience. And look closer at just that one part. Really look closely. What's really going on there at a sensory level? Tingling, pressure, heat, cold, pulsing, beating. Of course, there are many parts to the hand, so you can see how spatially these sensations are distributed. The upper part, lower part, front part, back part, left and right boundaries of sensation or that part, the middle and the periphery. Where does it feel like that sensation ends? And is there any change through time? And we are curious. There's the attitude of curiosity. This attitude of curiosity allows us to drop more into this sensory mode rather than, I know this thing, that makes us perceive more our guess or our prediction. What is this really? Moment by moment. And let's open up again to the whole body. More spacious, more peripheral way of sensing everything. Noticing the sensation you were with before and also the context of the whole body. The field of sensations. Now let's pick a more difficult feeling. Maybe in your body something that feels a bit annoying or uncomfortable or unpleasant. And let's have a look at that just in the same way that we had a look at the more neutral sensation. So again, feeling the whole area, sensing the boundaries above, below, left, right, front and back of the sensation. For me, I'm doing a strange contraction in my throat. Notice more the periphery of that sensation and the center. Where does it feel like that sensation is most intense and where does it feel more light? And remembering always with a sense of equanimity, openness, gentleness, acceptance. That's extremely important. If you lose that sense of equanimity or balance, it's better to move your attention to something neutral, or the breath, or the whole body. But if you feel you can stay curious, stay open about what you're experiencing, then go deeper into that part. In that sense, what part of that feeling is actually the uncomfortable part or the unpleasant part? Maybe it's some quality within it. Maybe it's a kind of sharpness or something else that feels more unpleasant than the other parts, which maybe feel more neutral. Find the center of the unpleasantness, the most intense part, and then feel the periphery, the more subtler parts around that. And notice if there's any change through time. Maybe there's a slow movement in it, maybe something fast. Maybe it doesn't feel like it's changing at all. Maybe it feels solid and stable and continuous. Just notice. Vipassana is investigation, clear seeing, direct experience. Not what you think about it, not your stories about it. Direct experience. Okay, and relax and open up to the whole body again. Feel that previous sensation in the context of the whole field of sensations of your body. So this field of body sensations is the focus of our meditations for this week. We are working to see it more clearly, all sensations, and dwell with more equanimity, allowing it to be different than what you think it should be. And more layers of sensation will open up to you. With more equanimity, there will be more sensory clarity. With more samadhi, there will be more sensory clarity. With more dropping our assumptions, what we know about it, our guesses, our predictions, and more attending to be curious what's actually there, there will be more sensory clarity. And this will help your mind understand what is your body really, compared to what you thought all your life maybe, or what you learned. Great, feel the breath for a moment. Breath is also part of the body. You can always come back to breath. And taking a deep breath and opening the eyes. Great. So now maybe it's a bit more clear now. But yeah, time for questions, comments, sharings, interpretations. Let's stay close to direct experience if we can. There are no stupid questions. They are all helpful for learning.
So I was trying to feel into the sensations instead of the. I mentioned before that I couldn't find words for sensations, but during this exercise, I was trying to feel into the sensations themselves, and I think I found some large categories, if not good exact descriptions. So categories of pressure and temperature and movement, and fullness and quality. I still couldn't tell you exactly what I felt in my sternum, but I know that it was a fullness and tension category. But instead of, that's sadness. No, it was a not a lot of fullness and a tension.
Yeah, great. So that's exactly what we want to do here. That's sadness. No, let's see what is actually going on. So I'm actually going to share this. This is in the course portal. I'll just show you real quick, just so you know it exists. This is the body and all the ways all the senses that we have which tell us about our body, the lowest level sensory inputs that we have. This is on the course portal. You can have a look at this if it helps you to look closer. So we have generally the sense of touch. We have the sense of proprioception, which is more the position or movement. We have the sense of interoception, which is more the internal experience of the body, the organs. And we have our general sense of pain. So these are neuroscience level sensory inputs. You can have a closer look at this.
That's a great resource. Thank you.
I find that doing body scans in a guided meditation way, I often find that I have a sense of like moving that I move pretty slowly from part to part, and I have a hard time keeping up with whoever's guiding it is moving on to some other part, and I'm still trying to even like feel my way into what that part, especially when it's like bilateral, if you're looking at like trying to sense both of your feet and both of your arms. I think I sometimes get lost in the distinction of how is it even possible to feel both at the same, can I feel both at the same time? Am I feeling both at the same time? I think it's just um, an awareness of the speed that my body, like the rhythm that I move at, has a certain rhythm to it that doesn't match up with external rhythms or with someone else's guidance. So I find that body scans, if it's a guided meditation, can be really hard for me to stay present with my body because it goes at a different pace than I seem to want to go at. And I don't know if there's like a way to move more quickly or yeah, I don't know. It's just it's
Yeah,
has always been a difficulty.
yeah. I would say, yeah, it's normal with body scan that I think that in the beginning I mean, that was really fast actually what I did. You can take 10 minutes in the beginning to do one round. And now I'm thinking actually I will put some recordings of body scan. I used to teach only body scan actually, a la Goenka technique, because I feel it's the best place to start if you feel the other ones are too much. But yeah, to go faster, basically you kind of lower your threshold of what you think you need to feel. And just feel whatever is there in the time that's there, and that's enough.
Yeah. And
yeah.
yeah, that's helpful. Coupled with that is also how if I'm sitting either cross-legged or I often kneel because that's more comfortable for me with a cushion. I have a hard time accessing through my lower body, like my legs and my feet. They feel sort of disconnected or not disconnected. Yeah, I find that I have a hard time connecting with what my legs and feet and thighs are feeling when I'm sitting.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So importantly, when any feeling, even if the feeling is numbness or however you experience that part, is the right sensation. So it doesn't have to be like the hand. I mean, the hand have the most receptors, so you feel your hand a lot. Legs,
Yeah.
we are not used to attending to the legs, so it can also be that parts of the body we're not used to attending to are just have lower resolution until you start
Right.
attending to them more over time, and then
Yeah.
they become more important in your. And this is literally like growing neurons, not growing neurons, but reallocating neurons in the brain that are used to feel sensation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah. So it was quite interesting because I guess I whenever I have done guided meditation about like body scan, I guess I was lying on my back. And I like, I do meditation where I notice my own body, but that's just me. And that can be lying down or cross-legged or other position. And when we started, like, so I was cross-legged, and when you were asking me to go to the leg, I somehow got confused because I guess I was thinking about my thighs and my knees, before you started. And then I felt like under my left or right thigh, it should be my right leg. But because I'm cross-legged, I realized that what I was feeling is not my right feet.
Yeah, God.
So, so my mind went a little bit into, oh, it's kind of interesting because we were talking about this illusion. earlier in the session. But this happened like really in 3 seconds. It wasn't like this long thought. But I thought it's interesting because I thought my right feet is under my right thigh.
Yeah,
And it
totally.
wasn't. So yeah, but the rest was, just kind of really noticing my body and little tingling and different sensations. I like body scans.
Yeah. Roman just said that he could help with this question. Is that Ryan? I see your hand, but Roman said he didn't know how to put up his hand. Roman, you want to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, maybe because I'm using the phone, and it's not, there is no, I couldn't find this option for raising the hand. So yeah, it's very interesting with different styles that I'm experiencing also with you, this noting technique. I was at two retreats in Goenkas, and all my experience with Vipassana is like Goenka traditional style, but with you, I experiencing like especially this noting technique that we did with the walking meditations as well, with opened eyes. And I just wanted to share that I found it's very interesting how different actually it is. For example, that in Goenka you go from part to part, and then it's kind of like a class that you have to push yourself to stay like in different zones, like control with a movement through the body, kind of. And there was also the question how long you usually stay, because like in your guided meditation it's quite fast, but for example I can move for half an hour through, like from the top of head to the fingers, half an hour part by part, like looking on different parts. And with the noting techniques it's like more flowy. Like I found it's that it's like not a class, but like a jamming, in the contact. So it's like much freedom, and then much more energy arrives when I use a noting technique, and also more connected to the normal life, like because I'm usually not so strict with myself. So it's interesting also. Maybe this week I will try to use both of them and just to write how to compare, how they work on me. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Roman. Yeah, beautiful. Ryan.
So I guess I had like one sort of success story and then maybe one like failure story. So actually, right as we started the meditation, I sneezed a couple of times. But then I found like during the body scan, at one point, like my nose like itched again. But this time I was able to separate like the sensation of like, oh, my nose itches, to like I separated that from the prediction of, oh, I need to sneeze, so let me sneeze. And then I actually didn't sneeze because just like becoming aware of the prediction like stops the self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. And then
yeah.
I guess like failure was I at one point noticed like a lot of like tightness and soreness in my back, and then I just wanted to come up with an explanation for that, right? So I was like, oh, it's because like I've been playing tennis a lot the last few days. So yeah, of course, like I'm sore and I'm tight, and oh yeah, now I'm really feeling sore and tight now that it like reinforced it. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the first thing you said is really the implication of reactive behavior, right? We usually react to things we feel because there's a prediction about it, and that implies some action is required often. So yeah, it's this classic thing of having the space to choose basically how to respond rather than react. And maybe of course sneezing is not a bad reaction in this case. So yeah, it can be natural, but other reactions might be different, especially response to emotional feelings. And the second thing you said, yeah, about how perception then reinforces sensation. So that's really natural that happens. No need to judge it. Judgment is also another prediction. I'm so bad, I'm doing the meditation wrong. It's just another thing the mind does, like, okay, there we are again, failing at this thing. Like, that's just the mind guessing and doing its negativity thing again. So we keep recognizing that thing arising, and we keep attending back to what's really happening there. Equanimity is important, and it's not like we need to stay in equanimity or we need to stay balanced. It's really much more this act of balancing as a verb, or I don't know how to turn equanimity into verb, but equanimizing or accepting rather than acceptance as something stable that you have to be in all the time. We always, even when you are very deep in meditation, there's always going to be these things arising, slight craving, slight aversion, and we always keep balancing and bringing ourselves back. Maybe that swinging is a lot in the beginning, it gets less, and then but it's this continuous act of, yeah, what's happening? Okay. Another prediction. Okay. But this and okay. But yeah, here. What's happening? I know this thing. It's like when that other no. What's happening? Oh, now I'm getting really bored. I've already seen this so many. Okay, what's happening? Tomorrow it could be really nice. What's happening? So it's like this continuous process. So no need to judge ourselves for those arising. They're really natural, and we also don't want to live without them. And Meda.
I just want to say, Jennifer, whatever you shared about how you perceived your body scan today, really resonates with me. Before this class, I would do body scans, and I thought that taking my time and going at my own pace was me perceiving what actually is in my body, but I don't think I ever qualitatively thought about it or put it into words. I think I'm very familiar with that diagram you showed about, and I'm reluctant to say your name because you said how to say it right the first time we met, and I don't know how to say it. So if you could repeat that at some point. No, it doesn't really make any sense if I know I'm going to say it wrong.
Okay.
But I was
Raimar.
going to say, okay, Raimar. I was going to say I know about proprioceptors, mechanoreceptors, thermoreceptors, chemoreceptors, but I have a hard time knowing what that is. Honestly, with all of the three techniques, I think it was most hard for me to qualitatively describe with the body scan. When we did the noting and the integration technique, I had a little bit more of a better chance at doing it. But even then, as I would go into my hand or the side of my hip, when I went out, that sensation fully changed. And I know we're not supposed to judge ourselves, but I kind of second guess after I went out of that body part whether what I thought I was experiencing was actually what I was experiencing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's always going to change. Don't worry.
Okay.
The act of observation changes it. It changes moment by moment. It's always going to change. We'll cover change in this 5th week of the course, impermanence. But yeah, Yeah, don't worry about needing to describe it. I just can describe it well because I've been doing this for a long time, but you also don't need to categorize somehow. This is painception. This is purpose. You don't need to do that. So in the Satipatthana, the way they do it traditionally is in elements: earth, air, water, fire, and they say, this is a feeling of fire. Fire is temperature. This is feeling of air. Air is movement. This is feeling of water. Water is shape, cohesiveness, connectedness. This is earth. Earth is more about heaviness, lightness, pressure, the dimension of weight. So in the tradition, they do with the elements. Yeah, I provided a different framework, and it's just to help you, give you an idea of what you might possibly feel, but no need to label or describe it. Yeah.
So there's, I guess, how are you supposed to conceptualize what your body is feeling without putting a word on it that isn't a prediction?
Yeah. So no need to conceptualize. That's our purpose. And your mind will still conceptualize because that's its habit. But the idea is to move down from conceptualization into sensation.
Okay.
So you don't need to conceptualize it. And Fumi, raising hand, and I see you, Roman, right after.
Yeah. I had a little question about the practice.
Yeah.
Because I have done quite a bit of meditation, but not specifically Vipassana. For example, if my child is being noisy, like my mind kind of catches the sound. Like how do we, I don't know, is there something specifically in Vipassana where we talk about, for example, out external experience or sound or
so you can actually do it with all your senses, what we do with the body sensations.
Right.
You can attend more to the actual experience of hearing instead of the ideas about what is. Yeah. Right. You can do that if you'd like. I chose to disclude it for now because it would overcomplicate things. But yeah, you can definitely just attend to the sensory experience momentarily.
Can we do like a hum, for example?
A hum?
Yeah. Somehow this morning, I had a bit of like difficulty, like in yoga, for example.
I'm just conscious of time.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I don't want to get into super lengthy. But maybe just for humming is more like a samadhi type practice to more calm and collect. So then we start to move away from Vipassana because we're not looking at Vipassana is about looking what's actually here now and seeing clearly rather than wanting to change it through a technique. So for the formal meditation, you can do some humming in the beginning, calm yourself down. But when you switch to Vipassana, unless it gets overwhelming, it's better just to look at what's there rather than, okay, I don't like that thing that's there. Let me hum to feel better. That's what we usually do, and that's what I want to retrain. Roman, the last one.
Sorry. I have a question as connecting both to the noting technique and both to the body scan. So the question is when there is like a direct experience, because I was a bit confused with explanations maybe with 10 days course. And there was like when there is like any experience coming, should we like inside like whisperly name it or it's better, because for me it's like naturally not to name it, like not to identify it by the word. So for me, it's more natural not to do that, but I just want to get the direct answer from you, what you think about it.
Yeah. So the labeling is like a way to help you to deconstruct experience, actually using the conceptual mind, but using it in a specific way where we just more label sensations or phenomena. And so if there's an experience which happens and it helps you to stay in the present moment with what's happening, to label it. For example, if Fumi's baby's crying, hearing, if that helps to direct your attention to the feeling of hearing rather than, oh, my baby is over there and I wonder if it's okay and maybe I need to go check on it. So if that helps you to just hearing, then you can use the labeling. But if for you it's easier, okay, just you stay with the sound of hearing for that moment without labeling it, then you don't need to use the labeling. Labeling is actually just the technique of labeling is actually noting or noticing. And labeling is just like a help to notice more clearly the sensory experience. And it's important not to label contents, like not to label baby, but to label hearing, or not to label my knee pain or my surgery pain, but to label tingling, tense, tightness. So you point more towards the phenomena. Make sense? Does it answer you?
Mm-hmm. So, but not like naming it, or it's better like, like there is a point I just see it and it's like a speed how quick I'm letting it go. So if I'm naming it, I'm like more staying with it phenomena, and if I'm not naming it, I'm like quickly going through,
understand.
to another. So
yeah.
it was how long.
Yeah, that's one aspect of the labeling technique, is that it helps you a little bit investigate what that is actually, because you feel it for a bit longer than you would otherwise. It's like the third technique I was describing, where you investigate one more particular sensation. Noting is working like this, like you note it, therefore you bring your attention to it 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. So it's like this investigation aspect. But if you can already just, okay, I feel it clearly, you don't need to look closer necessarily. But it can help you to develop more clarity, to look for a few seconds. What is it? Okay, let's close it there. I know we can talk for ages. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, really looking forward to hearing from you on Sunday also. If you have any problems with the practice pods, please let me know. If they're like being rude to you, no, I'm sure no one's being rude to you. But yeah, great place to discuss with your friends more about this and what's happening. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, everyone, all the best to you.
Thank you, Raimar. I found this very helpful.
Great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.